You ready for the next one?
Yeah. I hate everything.
How do I get to a common ground between my SO and my kids?
Rock, paper, scissors.
They do enjoy rock, paper, scissors, yeah. She doesn't have kids, so she isn't used to having to have patience. I just need some advice on how to get their relationship better because they fight all the time and I can't handle it. It also puts me in the middle when they fight because I understand both sides. And then you asked for more information. She sent us another email. She actually sent us a couple more emails. She said, we've been together for 2 years, and the cause of the fights is her son, who is 7.
Okay.
He has ADHD and doesn't know how to control his anger.
So at 7 years old, they've done nothing to actually work on this kid's behavioral problems.
Right.
Okay.
So ADHD is not an excuse for not being able to control anger.
Right.
Our son is on the spectrum, and he has a hard time regulating his emotions. So when he gets angry, he gets mad fast. And I have to be able to diffuse that real quick. And the way that we've gotten to diffusing a very intense emotion like anger is deep breaths. So once I see him flying off the handle, I tell him, deep breath.
Yep.
And he'll take one. And it'll be like a half-assed, I'm like, okay, take another one. And that one's a deeper breath. I'm like, okay, one more. 3 in total. Last deep breath is a really good one. And then I ask him, what are you feeling? And that's when he tells me, I'm angry, I'm upset, my feelings are hurt, I'm frustrated. And then I'll ask you, why are you feeling that? And he'll tell me why he's feeling that. And then whatever the resolution is, you dropped it, you just got to pick it up. Right. See how easy that was. That's it. He's 4 and he's learning how to regulate his emotions.
Right. That comes, and no offense to this person, but this is something that needs to be addressed to everyone who has children. Mm-hmm. You are your children's protector, provider, and leader.
Right.
They are going to follow in your footsteps. If they see anger issues, they are going to have anger issues. Generational trauma comes from things being repeated in your life, from your parents to you and now to your kids. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for kids to lash out and it be acceptable. It's just not. Behavioral modifications need to happen while children are still developing so they learn what is and is not acceptable. And as somebody who has borderline, I had to learn that shit the hard way. You're autistic. Our son is autistic. We are working on those things super hard. It's not easy, but it's necessary.
And he's getting better. It's getting easier. His tantrums would last minutes before. Now it's like maybe 15 seconds until he takes a deep breath.
Right.
So he screams and he yells, and then her SO screams and yells back to the 7-year-old. I try to intervene and calm the situation down, but I don't know if I can handle it the way my SO wants me to because it causes fights between us.
How long have they been together?
2 years.
Okay. I'm curious if there was a discussion had at any point what is acceptable in terms of those children. Your kids are yours. I call them our kids. I say my kids because I am in a step-parent role and I am helping raise them. But we had very clear conversation about what is and what is not acceptable.
Right.
And like, I don't discipline unless you ask me, hey, I need you to step in right now and enforce this. Otherwise, I don't do that. The only time I get up is if I can dad voice because they're not listening. My presence, me being there is enough for them to do the shit. Or I can dad voice from the other half of the house. I made it. Every time I think about this, all I can think about is dealing with a horse because when young man runs through the house, I go, whoa.
Yeah.
And he, oh shit.
And he stops.
So it's like being on a farm.
Right.
You got a horse starting to run, you whoa or hoe him.
And it jolts them and they're like, oh, okay.
They stop.
Yeah.
First time I did that to him, he cried.
Yeah.
Because he was not prepared. I dad voiced hard, but it was enough to stop him dead in his tracks. And he started crying. You were like, why are you crying?
Yeah.
And I scared the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But now when I woe him,
he knows.
He stops immediately because he knows that what he's doing is unacceptable.
Yeah. And he apologizes.
I made this joke before too, but every time I have this conversation, I think of the horse thing, and then I think of Jeff Foxworthy, where he's talking about, he's like, I don't know what that means, but it's the most powerful word in the Southern language because we do that shit and everyone stops what they're doing.
Yeah.
So stupid.
I think the SO's in the wrong.
I don't think that, okay, there's a time and a place to dad voice a child, but screaming at them is not the same thing.
She's having a full-blown screaming match with a 7-year-old.
She or he?
Says she.
No.
So Yeah, she's in the wrong. You're the adult in this situation. When a 7-year-old is screaming at you, you do not scream back to that 7-year-old.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you choke slam them through a coffee table. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to teach you. You're going to learn today.
It sounds like she's trying to control the whole situation because she's trying to deal with the 7-year-old. Mm-hmm. And then when real mom steps in, biological mom steps in, oh God, so many people can get pissed off. What do you mean real mom?
Yeah.
The one who gave birth to the child.
How pathetic is it that as a
hate
species
it.
we have to have these conversations the way that we have to have them so that people don't get butthurt?
I hate it. When
I think we should just go ahead and let people get butthurt.
Yeah.
And then we can rip them apart in the comments.
Okay. So when biological mom steps in and tries to handle things and intervene and bring peace, SO gets upset at how she handled the situation. So it sounds like she's trying to control everything in this.
The SO is.
Right.
So first and foremost, there needs to be conversation of what is and what is not acceptable when it comes to the child because the SO is not the mother. Mm-hmm. Even if they're married and she's a bonus mom now, she's not the mother.
Right. You don't get final say.
Right. There needs to be a clear understanding of what is and what is not acceptable. And then the two of them need to have a conversation as well about when it's appropriate for the SO to step in because she's not able to handle the scenario.
I agree.
We know that. Perfect example is I never counted with my kids. Never did I 1, 2, 3 them or 3, 2, 1 them. And you do that. And the first time
I did do that.
Right. The first time you did it, I just let it ride. Second time I noticed it was starting to become a thing because they would listen at 1 and you realized they would listen at 1. So they were starting to do the thing. And one day while they were at daycare or school or wherever they were, I was like, hey, when you do that 3, 2, 1, you're giving them 3 opportunities to not listen to you before they have to step up and listen. I was like, so what next time you give them a command or you tell them they need to clean their room and they don't 3, 2, 1 them, you need to implement consequences for their actions immediately. And now they don't do that. Now when you tell them something, they listen because they know that mom means business. If I hear you repeat yourself 2 times, I'm already annoyed. 3rd time, I'm like, all right, dad voice, let's go. I'm tired of this already.
Yeah.
And I get to that point and it doesn't take much because I personally hate repeating myself. So when I have to hear someone else repeating themselves, it frustrates me.
Right.
Because I have to hear it over and over and over again. And like I said, I don't have to say shit. Most of the time, I can literally walk into the room where you're at and they stop what they're doing and they listen. I don't have to do anything. It's literally just my presence being there because they know that they're about to incur the dad voice.
Right.
There's no reason that the SO should have to step in unless there is this is an acceptable time to step in conversation that happens ahead of time. Because had the first time I ever did that, it been not something that we discussed and I yelled at the kids, we could have had a huge problem over that. You could have been somebody that gentle parents. You could have been somebody that doesn't believe in raising your voice. You could be somebody that doesn't believe in standing your kid in the corner or doesn't believe in spanking them or whatever it is that you don't agree with. And I happen to do that. You and I are going to be at odds because we failed to have a conversation about what is and what is not acceptable with the kids and when I need your backup and when I don't.
Right.
This entire scenario comes down to being able to articulate what is acceptable to you and what isn't. And we are huge advocates for putting your partner first.
Right.
When your partner and your relationship is healthy, because you want to continue that relationship after the kids move out. And if you don't give the work necessary to maintain that relationship, they're going to move out, you're going to divorce, whatever.
Right.
This is a significant other that was not part of the kid's life. So it's not their biological. So in this scenario, I don't think that the kids should be put last because those kids were there before this person was.
Right.
So this person either needs to get in line and follow what is acceptable to the mother, or they need to be removed.
Right.
That's as simple as that. And I feel the same way, whether it's a grandparent, a significant other, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin. When you set down ground rules for your children, man or woman, you set those rules and somebody comes in and oversteps those rules, they are negating every power structure, power dynamic in the relationship that you have with those kids and lets them know that they can disrespect you and do whatever the fuck they want.
Yep. You said it. Yep. I'm really hung up on the fact that she said he doesn't know how to control his anger.
Yeah.
You're supposed to teach him.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds like really the root of the all of this. She's getting the arguments, screaming matches with the 7-year-old because he doesn't know how to control his anger.
Right. She could also see that as a disrespect thing.
Right.
And it could be a problem for her.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how she would respond to somebody else yelling at her or raising their voice. If she would be that person to them, because if that's the case, she's feeling she's disrespected and she's not knowing how to process that. And she might just be one of those people that feel like it's time to elevate things because somebody just elevated it. Let's take it a notch further to be the bigger person, or the aggressor, I guess, probably the right term there.
I would lose my damn mind if I heard you and one of the kids screaming at each other. On both of you, I'd lose my mind.
Have you actually ever heard me scream?
No, no. I've heard you raise your voice. I don't even think I've heard you yell.
Yeah.
I've heard you raise your voice, but that's about it.
I will I'll drill sergeant someone, but that's not screaming. It's just a different depth of my voice and a little higher of a octave or whatever, a higher sound, but it's not screaming. I don't have it in me for that. And I'm not going to let the kids do it either. When the kids start screaming, I stop them in their tracks. We're not doing this. I don't care how mad you get.
Right.
You're not screaming. We don't yell in the house. I don't let the kids run through here and scream and holler and hoot and playing.
No.
We inside voice. If you want to hoot and holler, you go outside and do that shit.
Right.
And they've learned that. So and they are dude, your kids are soft spoken as shit.
They are.
So like when they think that they're in trouble or they think they've done something wrong, they mumble. Like I've never seen that. You know the scene in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where he's like, "Why don't you open your mouth a little wider when you talk?" That was my kids. My kids were obnoxious as hell, loud, like everything the exact opposite of yours. And because I raised my kids to adulthood, hearing your kids mumble, it's frustrating because I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? I can't hear you. Like, come stand next to me and mumble.
I feel like you would prefer the mumbling over them constantly yelling in the house.
Yes. Yes, I would. I would be okay with them being loud at times if they were able to articulate themselves better. Because of the mumbling and like, you know, our son has a speech issue. When they get going, it's just screeching and shit. I can't do that. It's too much. It's overstimulating for me.
I feel really bad for that 7-year-old.
I do too.
He's trying to figure out and regulate his emotions and explain how he's feeling. He's just having his grown adult scream at him.
Yep. Wait until he's a teenager and dealing with hormones, and this hasn't been resolved yet.
I wonder how many times he's gone to bed crying.
Wow.
Yeah.
That went sad quick.
That's a real possibility.
Yeah.
Like, how many times has this 7-year-old laid in bed and cried because
he can't articulate
himself? And
Makes
then
sense.
My mommy's partner's yelling at me because I'm upset, but why am I being yelled at when I'm sad or I'm angry or whatever I'm feeling, but I can't say how I'm feeling because I don't know how to say how I'm feeling because no one taught me how to say how I'm feeling.
That's a really good point. All of that was really good. It's almost like that video that we saw, or that you actually sent me that today, of the guy that was learning how to communicate things. So now he's not just angry. Maybe he's frustrated, or maybe he misses you, or whatever. That's the same line of thought. That was good. I wouldn't have went there with that. I was thinking more along the lines of the problems that this kid is going to have.
Yeah.
It's different how our brains work. That's why we're able to resolve shit the way that we resolve it, and the way that we're able to do these emails, because you'll go somewhere that my brain wasn't, or I will, and you're like, oh,
vice versa, yeah.
Fucking teamwork. F-bomb.
You're funny.
I hate that. You know how dumb I feel because I can't stop saying the F word?
It's a habit.